What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbine, joined always by my main man, Steven Thompson. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk and subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. It is Friday. We are headed into week 4 as the Pittsburgh Steelers travel to Houston, hopefully with less air travel time, less air emergency landing time this week around as they face the Houston Texans, a quarterback that has taken the country by storm, the league by storm, and a defense that has been surprisingly good enough, I would say, the last 3 weeks. However, there are some serious questions to the Texans' offensive line and some gaps that, man, the Pittsburgh Steelers could just absolutely have a field day with. We'll dive into CJ Stroud. We'll dive into the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. A running back has hit the market, or about to hit the market, the trade market, that is, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are reportedly interested. We'll dive into that too, on top of keys to victory and our picks for week 4. It is it's a great day in the Berg, I gotta say, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm sick and tired of there not being any sun outside. I'm already over it, and I would very much so like a 75 and sunny type of day. And I know I'm not going to get one till like June, but I'm ready for them. How you feel, my friend?
Keep your hopes up. I think we get like 80 degrees like next week or something like that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, but no, this is my roommate was talking to me about that. Like we were coming home from somewhere, and he was like, one of his coworkers at work said to him like, yeah, it's really gray out today. Unfortunately, it's going to be like that for the next 6 months or something like that. And he was like, why would you say that? Why would you say that to me right now? That just bums me out. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like I love it. I've been telling my fiance every day. She comes home. She's like, oh, it's so beautiful outside. I'm like, dude, it's freezing cold. Okay. There hasn't been sun all day. It rains every 3 hours. This is not fun anymore. I enjoyed it for a day. I enjoy it on Sundays without the rain. The rest of it, no, I'm ready to move on. Before we dive into some news and notes, got to address the big elephant in the room here, as we are on Friday. We took a serious L on Wednesday. I don't know if anybody's read the YouTube comments from Wednesday's episode, but man, nobody, and I mean nobody in Pittsburgh or in Steeler Nation agreed with us. And you gotta acknowledge those things. Do I go back on anything I said? No, I still firmly stand on the Mike Tomlin may have screwed up a little bit. But with that being said, sometimes you got to say, you got to acknowledge, man, dude, you really took a giant L there. We really took a giant L on Wednesday. Did you enjoy it? I got to say, it was a great mental health day.
Yeah, I don't know if I enjoy it. Like you said, like I don't take back anything I said. Like no one has to agree with us. And no one, like, this was a little bit of not media whining, but like this was a very media specific problem, and I understand why no one would care outside of, if you're not actually in the media, I can understand why you wouldn't care about it. So, we gave our honest opinion, we gave our thoughts. People didn't agree. It's what you do. You move on.
That's it was very very quick. We very quickly noticed. We were like, oh man, okay. Yeah, no, that was us. We were the only ones that care. The whining definitely. Loved everybody who called us a little bitch in the comments. Sometimes people would be like, hey man, I love your stuff. We listen all the time. You sound like a whiny little bitch in this one. And I was just like, oh, okay.
Okay, so you just kind of negated everything you said with that first part, with that second part.
Yeah, but I appreciated it. Like sometimes you got to get called out. Sometimes, in a fun loving way, I'm always down to take an L, and we took an L on Wednesday, but we won't do that today. Hopefully, we're going to try our hardest not to. We'll start with some news and notes. TJ Watt wins Defensive Player of the Month, the 4th time he's won it throughout his career. He's got 6 sacks so far this season. He's on pace to break the record. There is 1-to-1 odds on betonline.ag for TJ Watt to break the single season sack record. That is unheard of right now. He's still second in Defensive Player of the Year running behind Micah Parsons, which I'm okay with as long as it's not Myles Garrett. Like if it was Myles Garrett doing 4.5 sacks and almost nothing against the Pittsburgh Steelers and TJ Watt was behind him, I'd be like, okay, what are we doing here? But Micah, I'm okay. Micah's having a good season. It is what it is. 6 sacks, Defensive Player of the Month. I mean, the big question right now, before we even dive into Houston, is the single season sack record a real thing here? Could we, it's week 4. We've talked about it every single week. Like, at what point do we start like talking about it like it's realistic?
Oh, now, like right now, like what?
Yeah.
I don't know why we have to wait. Like this guy is on pace, and not just like on pace, but on pace to shatter it. Like
Yeah.
not even it won't even be close if he keeps this up. He probably, but like so part of me is like, this is a ridiculous pace. Like how can he keep it up like that? That's not likely. But I don't know. He's already getting chipped and double teamed every play. Like this, he's already getting slowed down in every possible way that a offensive line or an offensive coordinator can imagine to slow him down. And I don't know, it hasn't worked. No one's really found a solution. So unless you're going to start sending, two offensive linemen and a running back at him every play, he's gonna continue to get his. And it also does help that he has, a million different threats on the defensive line that you can't leave alone either.
Yeah, that's I asked D'Amico Ryans was asked. I had to ask him about Kendrick Green, obviously. But D'Amico Ryans was asked this week about TJ Watt, and his response was, yeah, it's almost like unfair that him and Alex Highsmith are on the same team. I think that's where we are in the TJ Watt era. This is the scariest. Like Bud Dupree, cool. Bud Dupree was awesome. Having Alex Highsmith on the other side of you is a complete game changer, especially this week, and we're going to dive into it here in a second. But when you get an offensive line that is weak on one side, you can't do things to help that side, because then you leave TJ Watt left alone. And at that point, what are you doing? Like you're just going to tell CJ Stroud or whoever, hey, bud, look it. We drafted you with a little bit of athleticism. This week, you're going to have to use it, okay? Because TJ Watt, guy's fast, guy's smooth, and he's powerful, and he's going to hit you. So just try your hardest to avoid him, because we can't help him. We can't give our right tackle any chance at all to stop this guy. Yeah, I think I thought it was a little early, to be honest with you. I thought it was a little early in the season, but hearing you say that now is the time, I feel differently. I feel better about the situation, just because, dude, if it was like 4 sacks and you're like, okay, averaging like a sack and a half a game, whatever, cool. 6 sacks in 3 weeks is just, and like on top of that, he's got 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries. I think it's like 4 pass deflections and a touchdown. The man is ridiculous. Like this is a season. This is definitely a season. Let's talk about how this week is going to get even scarier. The Houston Texans, they lost Laramie Tunsil, which, probably one of the best left tackles in football. Thoughts and prayers to him. Josh Jones also goes down throughout the week, which means that the Houston Texans are about to rely on a man named Austin DeCullis. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. We'll figure that out on Sunday. His name will be mentioned a million times in the broadcast. Why? Because he's about to start at left tackle after being elevated from the practice squad this week to face Alex Highsmith in an offensive line that already features a rookie center in Jarrett Patterson and then a starting guard in Kendrick Green. It is it's tough times for the Houston Texans and for CJ Stroud's great times for the Pittsburgh Steelers defensive line. I mean, how bad is this going to get?
It's going to be real ugly. Well, I mean, so it's kind of, we'll talk about CJ Stroud in a second, but CJ Stroud's going to be running for his life. What he does with that, I have no idea, because this guy can clearly move. And like, I've heard him described, there was this one like podcast I listened to like before the draft. They described him as a problem solver.
That's a good one, actually.
Yeah, just a guy who like takes a shitstorm and makes the most out of it. And I think that's a really good description of him. And I think that he can, likes to take a shitstorm and make something good out of it. But he is going to be running around all day. His receivers are going to have to help him out. His running backs are going to have to help him out. But this will get ugly like pretty quickly. Whether that results in like there's a difference between that resulting in sacks or TFLs or things like that, or just regular old incompletions, because CJ Stroud is amazing and he can get out of pressure like that. But I don't think they'll be able to run the ball like at all.
No, and I don't think they've had much success running the ball this season. I don't know what Dameon Pierce's stats are. I'll look them up, but
as a fantasy owner, they're not crazy. Like they're not what you would.
That's how you know. That's how you know. That's not where that's not where you want them to be. That's And that's the thing is if you're not going to run the football against the Pittsburgh Steelers, you got to drop back to pass. If Kenny Pickett and company could give a lead or an early lead, you just put the Houston Texans in a worst case scenario moving forward. Because, I mean, like, just like we said, what are your options? Like, you got to look at this and go, okay, we'll just double team. We'll help DeCullis out. We'll give Damian Pearson a tight end or whoever. We'll always have a chip going on his side. And then you're just going to leave, I think it's Shaq Mason on the other side there. You're just going to drop the right tackle and say, you'll be fine with TJ Watt because that's worked out so well this season. No, that's not what you're going to do. So you're either going to leave a practice squad guy against Alex Highsmith or one-on-one with TJ Watt, and then you haven't even touched the middle of the field yet. Like, Keanu Benton is a real human being who is really progressing rather quickly. And this guy is, I mean, sorry, Jarrett Patterson, good guy, met him at the Senior Bowl. Wish him all the best in the NFL. He's not stopping Keanu Benton. He's not stopping Montravius Adams, who has been a monster the last 2 weeks. And then you're telling me Kendrick Green and Larry Ogunjobi, that's an even split right there? That's Kendrick Green's going to be the guy. The guy couldn't even make a fullback spot in Pittsburgh, and they don't have a fullback. They went fullbackless this season, and Kendrick Green couldn't make the roster. So, yeah, I don't know what their top stats are, sacks are this season. I think it's 6 in a game. You think there's a chance we get double-digit sacks here?
Oh, no, that'd be crazy, right? Like that.
Would it be? Would it be crazy?
That would be crazy.
CJ, that would just to bring some reference into this, he has been sacked 11 times this season. Wasn't sacked last week, which is big against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I don't know many people on the Jaguars offensive line, but they have Josh Allen. They have what's his name, who's the first pick in the draft 2 years ago, or the second pick in the draft 2 years ago.
Not Trayvon Walker. Yeah, Trayvon Walker.
Yeah, right? Trayvon Walker. So they have names. They definitely have names. 2 weeks prior, or the week prior against the Indianapolis Colts, 6 sacks against the Baltimore Ravens in week 1 with Laramie Tunsil and a strong offensive line, 5 sacks. So you're telling me they can't come up with 4 more with the people that they have? We haven't even mentioned Elijah Riley coming off the edge, Desmond King.
Yeah.
Desmond King trying to make his return to Houston. I talked to him yesterday. That guy's itching. He's like, dude, hey, I've been texting guys, and all week they've been like, is this going to be, you're not even going to talk to us before the game? He's like, hey, bro, just another game. It's just another game. I'm like, no, it's not. This is your game. You're about to go off in this game.
Because he also didn't play against, has he played yet?
He lined up as a kick returner, but I don't even think he got a kick return last week. He will get them again this week, and I think that is 100% just Mike Tomlin going, yeah, this guy about to be a dog in his return to Houston. Like, that's what's going to happen. But this is what I'm saying. Like, we haven't even mentioned those guys. Cole Holcomb, Quan Alexander, Landon Roberts, DeMarvin Leal. Like, how many guys could get a sack? All right, so what's your over-under then? What's your over-under?
Probably 6.5. I think 6.5 is a good, because I don't know. 10 sacks is a lot of sacks.
A lot of sacks.
Especially if this gets out of hand real quick, you know what I mean? I don't think at a certain point they will not stop throwing, but they will. If they're down by enough, they're just gonna run the ball, get out of here. Let's not. So I don't know. Just 10 sacks. That's a lot. When's the last time someone had 10 sacks in a game?
I don't know. It's got to be. I don't know if the Steelers have ever even had 10 sacks in a game. I don't know anybody who has had 10 sacks in a game. But what are you gonna do? You're gonna put. Just think about it. Okay, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're up 21 points or something. Mike Tomlin pulls TJ Watt. He pulls Alex Highsmith, which Alex Highsmith isn't going to get pulled. He's too young. But TJ Watt might get pulled. Oh, man. Marcus Golden and, why am I yelling? Marcus Golden and Nick Herbig, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not going to do anything against Austin DeCullis.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, I, it's some brilliant point that I was going to make. But yeah. I mean, I forgot completely about Nick Herbig. He might still just go insane with the second team. It's, I think the more interesting question is that just how many the Eagles. Thank you, Nick.
The Eagles had 10 sacks against the Jets in 2019. Thank you, Nick. It's not that long ago.
Yeah, that isn't. I think the more interesting question is that one about how many different guys are going to get a sack.
Yeah.
Yeah. because I think if they get like 7 or 8, they'll all be from like different guys. Like maybe one person has 2, maybe TJ has 2, but then the rest of them it's like 1 each.
Or yeah, like I agree.
Who
do you think you're adding to that list? Who you think? What do you? So Alex Highsmith. That's
Alex Highsmith. Yep. So
that's
Alex Highsmith, TJ. I think Keanu Benton has 1.
Oh, okay.
I think Herbig eventually gets 1.
Oh, all right. I like that one. That's 4.
Who else plays defensive line?
Larry O against Kendrick Green.
Larry O. Yeah, Larry O.
We're at 5.
One of the linebackers does. So let's just go with Quan. You know, Quan's chasing down CJ Stroud as he's scrambling out.
I like that one. We're at 6 right now.
Okay. I don't know.
I'm saying Desmond King. I'm saying Desmond King gets a sack.
Okay.
One of the nickels, but I'm going to guess it's Desmond King.
Okay. Throw Desmond King in there. And then, like, probably
DeMarvin Leal, maybe?
No, that one doesn't feel right to me. And Marcus Golden. Did I say Marcus Golden?
Oh, no, Marcus Golden.
Oh, yeah, Marcus Golden.
4 outside linebackers get a sack.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
All right, so you're at 8.
Marcus Golden's been really good.
Yeah. He's been stud. Yeah. I'm not trying to say that. He's definitely been a stud. We're at 8 right now. Nobody's got 2 sacks.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, some of those are more likely than others, but I think it's going to be a diverse attack, you know? Like, there are going to be a bunch of guys getting involved.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a good time. I'm all about defensive football, like all about defensive football, as long as that's the defensive football. You know what I mean? Like, I could care less if the score is like 6-3 and it's just like a bunch of boring 3 and outs. Dumb. Nobody wants to watch that. But if the score is like 21-3 or something because one defense just absolutely demolishes the other team, I'm all about that life. Like, if the Pittsburgh Steelers find the quarterback 10 times in this game, that is a game that you want to watch just because you're like, wow, dude, I don't think CJ Stroud could stand up anymore. This is awful. And that's good defensive football. Everybody's like, oh man, love good defense, run the football. No, you're not watching football for the right reasons, man. I want excitement. I want the heart pumping a little bit, you know? I want to yell just once or twice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I think interceptions are more fun. Like,
interceptions cool. Interceptions are cool too.
I love a game where both quarterbacks throw for 500 yards and 3 picks. You know, that's my kind of game.
3 picks. Yeah. What's the final score of that game?
It's only like 24-21 or something because everyone gets into the red zone 10 times, but they throw like a pick in the red zone or something.
See, I like that. I don't mind that one. You want to know what I did mind that one? Last night in the Lions game, because I had Jared Goff over 1.5 touchdowns, and
that's tough. Yeah, David Montgomery, what a criminal.
Criminal, man, criminal. As somebody who drafted Jahmyr Gibbs early,
I'm playing against him in 2
yeah,
weeks.
Well, good for you, man, because he's gonna ride the rest of the season on my bench, and I'm not gonna be able to get rid of him because I believe in him. But David Montgomery is not this good. He's just not this good. This is I don't want to get too distracted or too fired up because I might blow a blood vessel or something. That's how it was a bad night. It was a bad night in the Strackbine household. What's up, guys? I have super exciting news to share with you. We have merchandise from t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and hoodies, and plenty of designs from Pickens to Pickett, Muth, Bleed Black and Gold, and of course, all of your All Steelers talk gear, all available at blackandgoldapparel.myspreadshop.com or on the store tab at our YouTube page. We cannot thank you guys enough. We would not be here without each and every one of you, and it feels awesome to be able to represent the AST brand and to spread that representation out to all of Steelers Nation. We know that you guys and us, we are one, and this has been one hell of a ride. Again, we cannot thank you guys enough. Check out everything at blackandgoldapparel.myspreadshop.com or on the YouTube page, or the store tab, on our YouTube page to get all your AST gear and whatever t-shirts, sweatshirts, shorts, nuddies, coffee mugs that you're thinking. Again, thank you guys. Let's move on, but stick with the Houston Texans offense. CJ Stroud, biggest name that the Steelers will face this week. We talked about him a little bit. The big question here, this guy has yet to throw an interception. He's got 906 yards, 4 touchdowns this season. He's completed 64% of his passes. I mean, in all accounts, he has emerged very quickly onto the scene for the Houston Texans and in the NFL. Is he the best quarterback that the Pittsburgh Steelers have faced this season? Does he match up to Jimmy G and Deshaun Watson and Brock Purdy? And is he possibly better only 3 games into his career?
Well, he's certainly the most talented. And I think the most impressive thing is that this is a decent supporting cast, like Nico Collins and Tank Dell's come a long way, and Damian Pierce, obviously, but like this is not the most talented roster. This is far from the most talented offense in the NFL, and he's making it work. He's really impressive. So I would say certainly the most talented. I think Jerry's still kind of out because, I mean, when you say best, like, yeah, that's tied to most talented. So I guess in that sense, for sure, like he's definitely more talented than Brock Purdy. I would probably not Deshaun Watson, but like, look, Deshaun Watson.
What Deshaun Watson's done, yeah,
right. So I'm pretty comfortable saying this is the guy, this is the quarterback performing at the highest level entering their game against the Steelers.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this quarterback in his own poses a bigger threat than anybody the Pittsburgh Steelers have seen this season. I won't say. I think that the San Francisco offense as a whole, with Brock Purdy as their quarterback, was the biggest threat that the Steelers might face all season long. But just if you were just going to narrow it down to a quarterback, I'm giving CJ Stroud the edge over Brock Purdy. The guy is ridiculous. All I've heard all week long is how fast he gets the ball out, how aware he is of the defense, how confident he is, and how this guy, a guy who I think coming into the league, like there were some serious questions about, does CJ Stroud have the like mental capacity to make this work? Like, yeah, I heard that a number of times from people being like, Bryce Young, he's not as smart as, he doesn't have the IQ of Bryce Young. All I've heard this week is how smart CJ Stroud is, how aware he is on the football field, and how like this guy has it down. Like he knows where he's going first. He knows how quickly he has to go to his second read, and he knows how quickly he has to go to his emergency option in his third read. And that is for two things. One, makes it very difficult to sack a quarterback, and two, I mean, it makes life difficult for everybody involved, especially when you have guys like Nico Collins, who's able to catch a big body, and then Tank Dell, who's just explosive and has, almost Calvin Austin type speed out there on the outside, who has emerged onto the scene the last 2 weeks himself. So I agree. I think that it's up there. Do you think it's like, is it a worry? You know what I mean? Like is not having an offense as a whole, but having a good quarterback who's this young and a really bad offensive line, like, does it make you weary at all for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Well, I think the thing that worries me is, okay, we talked about that offensive line and how we think the Steelers are going to completely eat. But, I mean, the fact that the guy was able to avoid a sack completely last week, like, he was definitely running for his life as well. This guy is so good off schedule, like running out of the pocket, making things happen. And then, like you said, being smart with the football, getting it out when he needs to. That worries me a little bit because, it's one thing to get past the offensive line, but if you have a quarterback who is so talented at finding lanes and won't make, dumb mistakes under pressure, or won't make mistakes just period under pressure, that's tough because, pressure is supposed to make things happen, like it is supposed to make especially young quarterbacks fold. And if this guy's just not folding in the face of pressure, like then that kind of neutralizes your pass rush to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And that's the only part that worries me is okay, yeah, we know we'll be able to get pressure, but what happens after we get pressure is kind of an unknown. And we've never seen CJ face this kind of pressure before. But we have seen him face some, and he hasn't blinked at all.
Yeah, I agree. I think it becomes more of a challenge for Patrick Peterson and Levi Wallace and Joey Porter Jr. to kind of shut these guys down, not giving me easy options. I think that was the biggest. Like, I think the Steelers would have got to Jimmy G like 100 times if he didn't get the ball out so quickly. And because of that, that was just because his wide receivers were so good against the Steelers corners. If you're able to shut those guys down, which I think Nico Collins and Tank Dell are obviously a much easier matchup, and all respect to both of them, but are a much easier matchup than Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers. And I think if you're able to keep those guys limited and not give CJ Stroud the ability to just always find an instant target, the Steelers are going to eat, and it's going to get, he hasn't been in a situation like that yet this season because week 1 he was dealing with pressures, but the whole offense was kind of coming into its own. You had injuries, and the Baltimore Ravens are the Baltimore Ravens. Week 2, I kind of viewed it as the same thing. Like, you were still kind of finding your own, kind of gelling with these guys. Week 3, Tank Dell bursts onto the scene. Nico Collins bursts onto the scene. CJ Stroud explodes. The offensive line holds up. Like, you make some plays, and it makes life much more difficult for the defense. I think the Steelers have the Steelers secondary has a challenge on their hand. I don't want to say it's a big challenge, but they're gonna do just as much for the pass rushers as the pass rushers are gonna do for them this week. And I think that's pretty significant.
Yeah, I mean, so like in the same vein that this is the best quarterback the Steelers have faced this year, this is the best defense that Stroud has faced this year by a pretty healthy margin. So, it's going to be a step up for everyone. I think everyone's going to be, on both sides, people are going to be challenged by some new stuff, because this is also, I think, a style of. It's interesting that Stroud is like a drop back passer that also has he has mobility, but not mobility to. It's not like Deshaun Watson mobility. I don't think. It's not the same thing. It's
Kenny Pickett mobility. It's there if you need it, but he doesn't utilize it.
Yeah, and it's mobility to make throws, not mobility to run downfield or whatever.
Yep. It's a totally different situation, which is equally as dangerous. But I know what you're saying. And I agree. I agree 100%. All right. Before we come back with keys to victory in our picks for Week 4, there's a pretty significant headline that has made its way to the city of Pittsburgh this week, and one that, I mean, take it as you will, man. Take it as you will. Destin Adams, an Indianapolis Colts reporter for A to Z Sports, has released a list of 7 teams, I believe, who have made it known that they are interested in running back Jonathan Taylor. Now, I will read this list off. This is straight from Adams. He was given a list. In his story, he just straight up says, I was given a list. Here's the list of teams who are interested and have expressed interest in Jonathan Taylor. Those teams include the Miami Dolphins, the Green Bay Packers, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Washington Commanders, the Buffalo Bills, the Los Angeles Rams, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. We have heard time and time again that the Pittsburgh Steelers will not bench Najee Harris for Jaylen Warren. It is not going to happen. Najee is their guy, and they believe in Najee Harris. Unless your name is Jonathan Taylor, apparently. But I think we both smiled and laughed a little bit when we got this report and knew that we had to talk about it. Your thoughts? I mean, do you believe any of it? Do you think that this is... I'm not going to shoot down Destin's report, but do you believe any of it?
Expressed interest, I think, is doing a lot of heavy lifting here, because that could be as much as like a phone call, right? Like, that's like, hey, theoretically, what would this take, But I can't anticipate this has or would ever kind of advance past the exploratory, like, theoretically, what would it take for us for you to give him up to us? Because I mean, it's not just the Steelers on this list. There are a couple of these teams look real iffy, because, just the Steelers are very, very comfortable with their running back situation. Jonathan Taylor would be an upgrade, but are you willing to part with like a first-round pick and more for Jonathan Taylor, who... How much does he raise the ceiling of your offense?
None. Let's just be realistic. It's none. It's not. There's nothing Jonathan Taylor's a stud. Don't get me wrong, but there's nothing Jonathan Taylor does to the Pittsburgh Steelers offense that you can't find in a combination of Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. And I'm not saying either one of those guys are Jonathan Taylor. I'm just saying, a running back, that guy, he's not going to do enough. He's just not going to. We talked yesterday or Wednesday about Patrick Surtain, and we're like, oh, man, I'd give up a first-round pick. Like, if the same asking price is there for Jonathan Taylor, I'm not giving up a first-round pick for Jonathan. I'm not even thinking about it. Like, what do you – the rule of thumb in the NFL right now is you do not pay guys who play the running back position major money. Why? Because you could find them everywhere. You want to know who, like, the most successful running backs in the league right now are? Guys that we don't know of. Guys that we don't know where they were drafted. Outside of Nick Chubb, it's like it's a bunch of guys, and I guess Bijan Robinson. There's a bunch of guys who are just like, yeah, well, this guy, I don't remember him getting drafted. You want to know why? Because it was like the 5th round, and the guy just came out of nowhere. That's just what the NFL is filled of, or you're Jaylen Warren or whoever. It's just, you're not going to break rule of thumb because here's another one. Nick just tossed Devin, I think it's Ochny, whatever his name is in Miami. Yeah.
A-Chain.
Shout out to him also supporting the fantasy football team. But that's what I'm saying. Like, there are all these guys in the NFL. Running back is so replaceable. You're not giving up a first-round pick, and you're not giving up a first-round pick when you already have 2 starting caliber running backs.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, just Jonathan Taylor doesn't even add any kind of different dimension to this team. Like, it's not, we have a bunch of like tiny fast backs and we need like a power guy who can. No, that's like not what this is. This doesn't add anything new to your offense, and especially like and then on top of considering how much you would have to give up, it just doesn't really make sense at all.
No, 0 cents. I could pretty firmly stand on the Pittsburgh Steelers are not going to trade for Jonathan Taylor case, and without having any sources, feel pretty confident in my guess there, in my educated guess. That just do you think that, like, do you think there's a position on offense the Steelers would even realistically consider trading for this season?
Maybe like another offensive lineman, like a guard or something.
Who are you trading guard for? Isaac Seumalo or James Daniels? And like, I could see like replacing Mason Cole, but like, who are you gonna replace Mason Cole with? Like, you gonna call Kansas City, be like, hey, is Creed Humphrey available? Like, is Philadelphia giving up with Jason Kelce? Like, I just don't, offensive linemen don't get traded like that, and I feel like nobody else, like, you're not replacing George Pickens.
Yeah, I mean that's the only other one is receiver. But I don't even know. That's a similar thing with. Okay, you're going to trade for someone who is an obvious enough upgrade that you would want to give up some assets for it.
Yep, wouldn't make any sense. I don't think an offensive trade is even. And that's like crazy to say for an offense that struggles.
Yeah.
As much as the Steelers offense does, like, there's not a place in it where you say, you got to go find an upgrade right now immediately. Like, the offensive line, maybe. But like I said, like, when was the last time we were sitting there and like a top tier center or not a top tier left tackle was traded mid-season? Like, I don't have any that come to mind. None. That just doesn't happen. But Jonathan Taylor,
have fun in Miami.
Yeah, right. Like, I hope wherever you do end up, all the best. It's not going to be Pittsburgh, and I could almost guarantee that one. So be what it be. All right, let's go back to the game here. Finish it off. Keys to victory: Houston Texans, Week 4, 1:00 game. I think their stadium's like NRG
Stadium.
Yeah, NRG Stadium. What you see happening? How do you think the Pittsburgh Steelers pull this one off?
Well, I think you touched on it a little bit earlier, but these corners, the secondary really has to hold up. It was touch and go a little bit against the Las Vegas Raiders, but this is a significantly easier challenge. And we talked about how we know the offensive line is going to be porous, the defensive line is going to get there, the pass rush is going to get there, but you've got to do your job on the back end. And they don't have to hold up for very long. They don't. Like, they've got to hold it for a few seconds while CJ Stroud is getting sacked, and then you're golden. Like, this is going to be a game where you should be able to walk away from it like, oh, the secondary played really well too. Like, and then you can kind of look into it and be like, well, they got some, like, they didn't have to do a whole lot, but I don't want to have to worry about the secondary at all this week. And I think that's how you stomp this game out, and you make this a laugher as quick as possible. Is you don't give an inch on defense.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the secondary just has like such a good opportunity to kind of shut up a lot of critics and just say like, hey, look, at this defense is fine. And against good offenses, yeah, we're going to have our hiccups, but we're fine. Like, we could beat any mediocre offense, any middle of the pack team in the NFL. And there's really no worries there. I agree. That is huge. I feel like there are very minimal keys to victory for the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game, just because I I just think this is just such an easy game for the Pittsburgh Steelers, even if the Houston Texans are coming off a big win and people are going to say trap game. I think it's hard to have a trap game when your team's not that good. And I think the Pittsburgh Steelers could be great, but they're just not right now. They're still getting there. Yeah, they're 2-1. They're in a really good spot, like a really, really good spot. And I think they have the building blocks to get to where they want to go, but I just don't think they're a team that's going to fall for trap games right now. So I'm going to go with a little bit of a different take here, a little bit of a prediction, I would say. I'm saying my key to victory is that Kenny Pickett leads this team to a dominant win. And I'm talking Kenny goes off. 300 yards. This could be the first game Matt Canada's offense has 400 yards in a game. And I'm not guaranteeing it, but I'm saying that there's a really strong possibility. I'm saying Kenny's got a 300-plus game, maybe. George Pickens got a touchdown. Calvin Austin gets a touchdown. Pat Freiermuth maybe gets a touchdown. Multiple touchdowns, no interceptions. Like, this is a Kenny Pickett is here, this is happening type of game. I don't know if it carries on for the whole season. I kind of have a hard time saying that it does, but I'm saying right here, this is the performance that just says, look at everybody who is just hating on Noah and Steven because they wanted to bag on the offense a little bit. It's justified. Kenny Pickett said, go ahead, have another free week. And I think that'll be well earned. But I'm thinking Kenny goes off. I'm feeling this is the week that Kenny finds like a crazy rhythm.
Yeah, I mean, last week was the first time in his career he'd thrown for multiple touchdowns. I could absolutely see him keeping that streak alive. That's a good one. I like that because I think even if this game is close, it's going to be close in a shootouty type of way. You know? It's not going to be like 6-3 going into the fourth quarter.
No. It'll be a CJ Stroud, Kenny Pickett, and
duel.
I think
the last two. Oh no, Young went first. Damn, that would have been a good storyline.
Yeah, it would have been a good story.
Last two first quarterbacks.
Nah. They don't even play Carolina. Stroud isn't Bryce isn't even playing, I don't think, right now.
He's got like an ankle injury or something.
Yeah, something going on. But I think it could be a battle. I think it could be a duel. I think a lot of people are talking heading into this game. There's like a debate going on Twitter about, is Kenny Pickett better than CJ Stroud, or is CJ Stroud better than Kenny Pickett? I'm not going to put my 2 cents in there. All I'm going to say is I think Kenny Pickett wins a duel if there's a duel this week. And I feel pretty confident in that one. All right. It's time. For the first time all season long, the Pittsburgh Steelers enter a game as favorites. It took 4 weeks, but it has finally happened. They are 2.5-point favors over the Houston Texans in Houston on the road, which makes that a little bit more wild. Like the Cleveland Browns come to Pittsburgh, still underdogs. The Raiders, who looked garbage going in to week 3, still underdogs. Now they're favorites on the road in Houston. 1:00 game. DeMeco Ryans versus Mike Tomlin. Kenny Pickett versus C.J. Stroud. T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith versus Austin DeCullis and company. What you got here? What's your prediction?
I'm a big fan of the Texans. I like what they are building down there. I think Ryans is a good coach. I think C.J. Stroud is good. Nico Collins is my fantasy baby. I love him. But this is not. I think we went through this before the show started, but the Steelers have only won a game by more than 2 scores, so 9 or more points. I think twice
last season.
Twice last season. I think they do it again this time. I'm going to go 28-16. I think all the stuff we talked about ends up happening. I might jump on that Kenny Pickett at least over like 250. I don't think he's surpassed 250 yards this year.
Maybe ever in his career.
No, because he threw for like 300 yards against the Bills.
True.
But he also had like 3 picks. So
yeah.
But I think he goes at least over 250. I like that 300 number. I think the defensive line gets there for a bunch of sacks, and the Texans add like a score or 2 late that makes this look a lot closer than it was. But the Steelers are a convincing win down in Houston.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. You said 28-16. I'm going to go 28. Man, nah, I'm going to get a little bit ballsier than that, actually. I'm going to get a little ballsier than that, okay? I'm going to say that for the second time in Kenny Pickett's career, possibly the second time in Matt Canada's career. I don't really know the numbers here. They put up 30-plus points.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. They got a big week. Big week coming for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense on Noah's end here. I'm saying a dominant win down in Houston. 32-14. I'm saying that last touchdown comes in garbage time, and then it's just a smooth. At one point, like the Texans, I'm saying that the Texans have the ball at the end of the game, and it's just like a point where they're just like giving up. Like it's just like, okay, we're not even throwing the football anymore. It's over. 32-14, absolute blowout by the Pittsburgh Steelers. TJ Watt, double sacks. Alex Highsmith finds the quarterback. I'm saying they push that 10 mark. Somebody comes up with a turnover somewhere. I don't know how it happens, but at least one of them. And Kenny Pickett balls out. I'm feeling good about it. I think this is the game where come Monday morning, we're sitting here going, all right, this is like what's going to go on from here? How far can this team take this? I'm saying dominant win in Houston for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, you think on Monday we're going to be talking up, well, this was actually a good win. The Houston Texans are really good, so we need to. That's what we're going to be doing on Monday morning.
I think you blow out the Texans big enough, and you got a real conversation on your hands about how meaningful it is. I think a dominant performance is a statement. No matter who you're playing, especially a team that has had some question marks on their offensive side. But I'm saying this is the one for Kenny Pickett and company and Matt Canada and everybody else on that offense without Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor, this is a prove we don't need Jonathan Taylor type of game. That's what I'm saying right there. All right, with that, we're heading out here. Thank you guys so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Find us anywhere you get your podcasts and check out all of our work at allsteelers.com as the Pitt Panthers travel, right, to Virginia Tech to face the Sandman in primetime again.
That's right.
Do they play noon games, 3 o'clock games anymore? It's just 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock.
Apparently not. People love their primetime Panthers, apparently.
That's what you say. When Pitt is, what are they, 1-3? When Pitt is 1-3, you put them in primetime.
Well, that's the thing. Virginia Tech stinks too. What are we doing, man? Like, who wants to watch this? What are we doing?
Nobody. But they decided that's what they're doing. As that game comes about, check out all that action at InsideThePanthers.com. Enjoy a beautiful weekend in the Berg. Go Steelers. We'll see you on Monday.